it again. We're going back to Omaha. And it's on to the College World Series Final. The 2015 National Champions.
Welcome into the latest edition of 1186, the podcast, the official podcast of the University of Virginia baseball program. We've got the normal starting lineup this week. I am Damon Dillman alongside Scott Fitzgerald and Andrew Ramspacker out in the bullpen warming up. We've got a lefty special guest who will join us shortly. We will get to him, but first we will touch quickly on this past weekend. The Who's opening up ACC play, able to salvage the last game of their trip to Miami. They come home 13-3. Next 5 at home starting Tuesday afternoon against William, and then win this weekend at the Dish with Wake Forest coming in here. Scott, you were in Coral Gables. You made the trip with the team this past weekend. We don't have to belabor it for too much, but what did you take away from this weekend in Miami?
Really, I mean, college baseball is fun, as Coach O'Connor always says, right? Just no matter what side you're on, there's 3 games, 27 innings of just edge of your seat action. So it was it's always a fun environment. It's a tough place to play, but it was entertaining to say the least for 3 games in Coral Gables.
And then, like we said, Wake Forest coming in here, they lost 2 of 3 at home to Duke to open ACC play this past weekend. They fall from 1-7 in the D1Baseball.com top 25, and great weather in the forecast for this weekend at the Dish. Should be some really good baseball, maybe some potential postseason-esque baseball, and marketing getting a lot of stuff going on as well, right? A lot of promotions for this weekend.
That is true. Big for students on Friday. I believe it's Tacky Tourist Day, which includes a giveaway for the first 500 students for a Hawaiian shirt. So that's a pretty good one. Yeah, maybe they should have actually given us for the podcast. Maybe I should have did that.
Yeah, right. You could have modeled them.
It. Yeah, we could have done a whole show in Hawaiian shirts. But Saturday they're going to do a Little League Day, and that'll be another giveaway for youth 8th grade and under, 1,000 T-shirts. So the first 1,000 youth that are there. So that'll be a cool little deal. And then Sunday is your staple of UVA baseball, and that's the youth day stuff where we have the inflatables and the balloon artist and post game run the bases, autographs. Always the best way to cap your week at the Dish on youth day. So excited! Going to be an awesome weekend. Yeah,
and the last time Wake was here, a little bit of history was made in that series back in 2021, 3 years ago, coming off of exams. Our special guest is a guy who may remember that series, may have some fond memories of that series. He started the opener of that 3-game set, was part of a combined no-hitter at Disharoon Park. We are joined by former UVA left-hander now, of course, Andrew. Thanks for joining us. And that seems like a pretty good place to start off. What do you remember about the last time Wake Forest came to Charlottesville?
Well, thanks for having me on. It was a great game all the way around. A lot of runs were scored. A lot of time sitting on the bench. I think it was senior week, I think, too, that week as well. So, no better way to kind of end the career at the Dav at the Dish. It was just memorable. I'm glad Griff was able to close it out, being 4th year to 4th year, and just a lot of memories for all of us.
Andrew, we were trying to remember before we started. Did you have to campaign to go back out there for the 8th? Were we remembering that correctly?
Yeah, Oak had tried to tell me after the 7th inning that I was done, and I said I want to get one more out just so I can walk off the mound as kind of like my victory lap, I guess. And they obliged and said, okay, well, as long as you're ready to throw in the ACC tourney. And I was like, yeah, I'll be good. So
I got the video here. I got the video. Let's check it out real quick. Hold on one second. Let's see here. Final strikeout.
And the payoff to Muntz. Strike 3 call. Bring him up over the inside corner. That's number 16 for Abbott. What a way to punctuate his time in this ballpark. And what will presumably be the final time he pitches from this mound.
chills.
Good to hear Channing.
Yeah, good friend Channing Poole there.
Andrew, did you you obviously had a lot of moments that year, and you had, even after that no-hitter, obviously you had a couple more very special moments, including one in Omaha, the first game of that College World Series run. But did you take a moment at all that particular game and think back to where you were 12 months earlier, as COVID had derailed that season, and then you had a decision to make, right, about whether or not you would come back?
Yeah, I thought I had some more left in the tank, at least at UVA, and Oak had actually come down to talk to me when COVID hit and before the draft, and was like, "Hey, we want you to come back and start. We'll do whatever we have to do." Just a real worthwhile conversation to have with him, and obviously UVA has a special place in my heart, so it was an easy decision for myself. And then that year was just full of memories. It started out as maybe not the best way to begin the season. I think at a certain point we're 4-11 or like 4-12 or something like that. And he sat us down and was like, "Hey, if we want to make a run, you want to do what you came here to do, you better do it now." And, the rest of it speaks, we got to Omaha. I think that was the 5th time Oak's been there. So just a testament to who he is as a coach and who he's recruited there.
Do you ever think about, because I think about this from time to time, I've asked Oak about it before, but do you ever think about how good that 2020 team could have been?
I think we were on a great path. I think we had just beaten NC State that week, I think. And we were on the way to play like Pittsburgh or something when it got canceled. Just a lot of good characters, in the clubhouse for sure. My class had all been together for 3 years, and then the freshman Geloff had just come in. His class was really good, and just a lot of good people as well as good players. And we were just clicking. All had our own roles, and we all knew what we had to do day in and day out to try to get a win.
But the other side of that, of course, is everything happens for a reason. If that season plays out, you're pitching out of the bullpen that year, and you're probably gone after that year. Do you ever think about how it all kind of worked out for you and you were able to come back for that 4th year and get that opportunity to start?
Yeah, I mean, COVID was rough on a lot of people, so I don't want to say that it was a good thing for sure. But, for me personally, I think it was a blessing. It kind of gave me the opportunity to do what I'm doing, and I had a lot of success at it and proved that I could do it at the next level. And, I think we're still obviously trying to get better, but, it's a fun way to begin the starting career for sure.
Can you paint that scene? You referenced it. It's been documented before, but of that visit where Oak came down and discussed with you your possibilities and what you wanted to do with potentially returning for that 4th year or making the decision to leave early and pursue pro baseball. What was that like? Was it you guys at a restaurant? Was it at a home? Like what did that look like from your perspective?
So I don't know. I can't remember exactly when it was, but it was like in the morning, early on of the day. And he called me the day before and was like, "Hey, I'm going to come down to see you." It was in my garage at my house. So he drove all the way down from Charlottesville to my house, which is about an hour and 45 minutes. So it's not long at all. But and we were sitting in lawn chairs. It was me, my parents, and my sister. And we were kind of just going over like, "Hey, you've done a lot for the program, but now it's time for the program to kind of do it for you in return." And I had strong feelings about I wanted to start. Like if I was coming back, I wanted to start. And, I'm very gracious. He gave me the opportunity to, and he told me they're going to be, trial and error kind of thing. You got to put a lot of work in to change the regiment, to change the things you've done as a reliever going to be a starter. So, he told me what to expect and then gave me the reins and was like, "Hey, you're going to get the opportunity. Just go have fun."
Did you decide right then and there?
I had pretty much already made my decision. I would say that kind of cemented it for sure.
How did that conversation compare to when he was recruiting you out of high school?
Well, out of high school, it was quick. It was I played a tournament with the Evo Shield Canes at UVA July 4th after they had won the 2015 Natty title. So they were at the top of the top in baseball. And in state near the family. So like it was one of the schools that I wanted to go to. It was like a dream school of mine to just stay close, but also represent University of Virginia because they just won a national title. I mean, that would have been amazing to just be a part of it. And I pitched, I threw like 4 innings or something. I threw really well. And Coach Kuhn at the time, who was a pitching coach, pulled me out of the game, actually literally pulled me out of the game and then gave me a tour like right then. And my mom's in the stands, and the coach, who was Billy Wagner, who coaches at Miller School, was my coach in travel ball. So he goes, "Hey, go get your mom out of the stands. UVA's here. They want to give you a tour, take you around the locker room and pitching facility and all this different stuff." And, what was I, like 15, 16 at the time? So I'm like,
I was going to ask, what were you going into your junior year?
I'm blown over. Like, it's just over my head. Like, I'm just having a great time. And, they took me in, they said, "Hey, we'll give you a little bit of time to think about it, but, we want you, blah, 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 scholarship and all that kind of stuff." And I went home, and I kind of knew on the ride home, I was like, "Hey, I'm going to take the offer. I think it's the right place for me to go, and I think it's going to push me to get better." And, I think it worked out pretty well.
What were you, like going into your junior year of high school when that happened?
Yeah, it was sophomore summer.
Yeah. Okay. Good to hear Carl Kuhn's name dropped on the podcast again as well. Old Coach K.
Me and him got along really well. He first started the stepping stone to who I am, or kind of furthered along, and then Drew came in and just continued it. So I'm very grateful to him for giving me at least a start of a career. What
was their message to you when you were coming in? What was their plan for you? Because I know from my perspective as an outsider at the time, I always thought you could be maybe the next Kyle Crockett was a guy you reminded me of. What kind of plan did they have for you?
So Kuhn actually used Kyle Crockett as a comp to me. I thought that was amazing just because of who Crockett is and what he did for UVA. So that was a great start just in general. But, they told me, and they're honest, which is what I love to hear, just straight shooting honest. They were like, "You're going to have to earn your spot. Obviously, you're going to earn your stripes. You're going to have to, come into the fall ready to go, lift your weights, do the iron calf, and, kind of like what we're doing right now, kind of break with the team. You're going to have to earn your place." And, just put your head down and work was kind of the mentality you have to have. There were Bennett Sousa, Daniel Lynch, Derek Casey, all of those guys were the older class. So obviously, they're on the totem pole a little bit higher than you. And like, I knew I could pitch, but I always say that I was good, but I never was the next step. I didn't take the next step until I got to UVA. So they're just really forthcoming and honest, and it made my job a lot easier.
You mentioned your commitment coming right after on the heels of the 2015 national championship. As a Virginia native, Halifax County, were you a UVA guy kind of growing up? And do you remember watching that College World Series and that run? And were there a few guys that you admired from that particular team?
Yeah, it's kind of funny to say it now because I'm friends with like everybody from those years, but I loved watching Waddell throw. I loved watching Kirby throw when he came back. Kirby's got a great story too about 2014 his game, and then the 2015 when he came back. That's a great story. If you don't know it, ask him; he'll tell you about it. It's amazing to hear it from his perspective. But like it was just a culmination of everything. I grew up in Virginia, obviously, so baseball wise, I was always a UVA fan. My family was a Duke basketball fan, so we were kind of split. I had UNC Tar Heel fans in my family, and then I had Duke Blue Devils, and then I was the lone Cavalier fan. So I took my sisters and my whole family every time that Duke visited UVA for basketball, I was there. And it was like a house divided kind of thing. So it was kind of cool.
Go back to that 2021 season. You guys like you and Griff and I guess Tappan and Devin, guys who were in the program for a while and hadn't gotten that experience, even playing in the postseason, let alone getting to Omaha. And then in that fourth year, you guys get to do that and kind of continue that tradition. What is it Oak always brags about? After like 2005 or whatever it is, every class has gotten some players to Omaha. What did that mean to you guys to be able to continue that tradition, not just continue that tradition, but experience it for yourselves?
For us, obviously, it's great because that's why we went to University of Virginia. I mean, that's part of the pitch that you get. That's part of the recruiting process that everyone tries to sell to the player to commit to you. It's, we've been in the postseason this many times. We've had this amount of success and blah, 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 and blah this, So I think it's just really important to kind of see it, at least from my eyes, to see it kind of come to that, to get to that point after 5 years ago saying, oh, we're going to get back to Omaha. We won it this year. Like, we're going to get back there and, hopefully win it again. And anybody who plays the sport knows it's very difficult to go back and win that again. But I would just, it meant a lot to, I know, the seniors of that class, like Steven, Tappan, Witten, all of us that stayed at least the whole 4 years and had been through, almost a losing season as a freshman to a slightly better season as a sophomore to a really good junior start that got cut short. And then we come out and we have a piss poor start to senior year, but then we turn it into an Omaha trip. So, I mean, it's not how you drew it up, but it worked out.
How about getting the start in Omaha? What was that like?
Yeah, that was pretty sick. The Battle of the Orange. I have a lot of good friends that either grew up in Tennessee or played at UT. Some of them are in pro ball now. So it's kind of funny. And, when I was in Cincinnati this past year, they would always come up to me and be like, yeah, I saw you throw against Tennessee. And, it was a great game. And I'd be like, thanks. It probably was one of my better ones, ever in my career. So it meant a lot to just go out there and do it. And, Oak giving me the ball, obviously coming up to me and say, hey, you're going to get game one no matter what. I mean, you can't – that's stuff that I would dream of when I was like 14, 15. So
in kind of connecting it to what's coming up this weekend is, your alma mater obviously is hosting a huge series against a Wake Forest team that was preseason number one up until this past weekend. What is Oak like and the staff like heading into a big series? Do you notice any difference as opposed to, your random non-conference series those are going into one like this?
Be careful what I say before Oak sees this. He remains even keel. Oak's a pretty easy guy. As long as you don't, you treat the game the right way, you play the right way, you respect it, he won't have a problem with anything really. He won't blow up and yell at you. He won't do anything like that. Oak is great at having his moments when they're needed. So a good example of when I say that is the Georgia Tech when we're 4-12. Sits us down, has not a stern talk to, but just a talk to that's like, hey, you guys came here to go to the postseason. Well, if you want to get there, you got to put your head down and go. And it can't happen any later than this. And it needed to happen yesterday, but it didn't happen. So, he's great at picking his times to understand that, and he can read the players. And I don't know. It's just he's been around long enough. He knows what he's doing. So, I mean, that just comes with experience, honestly. So,
do you remember? I kind of do, kind of living it with you guys, like how bleak it was. I mean, so I'm looking at it here. It's April 1st. They're 4-12 in ACC play, which I think is one of the worst starts in Coach's era. And then
was that after the Pitt series?
That was Georgia Tech.
Georgia
right?
Tech. No, it was before Georgia Tech, because Georgia Tech is where it turned around.
So that was after game one loss at Georgia.
Oh, yeah.
Tech.
Right. So and then go win 14 of the last 20, and you finish 18-18 in ACC play. Was there like a moment for you guys, like in the locker room, where, yikes, man, this might not happen? Like this is how do we get here type of thing?
I think there's always like little doubts that kind of creep into your head when you're going through spells like that. But I would say the age and experience of just playing in the ACC of the guys we had kept us afloat. Between myself, Steven, Tappan, that whole class, and then, Geloff with his year under his belt, like those guys that they've been there, they've played a full season in the ACC. They know how difficult it is to just kind of sit the freshmen down and say, hey, we're doing the little things right. We haven't caught a break. Just keep going, just keep playing, and, don't ask questions, just go. And once we kind of relaxed a little bit, took the pressure off, started having maybe a little bit more fun, that's when it started to turn around. And the big moment was the Wake Forest series, as we're talking about, when we swept them. It was exactly the same situation UVA is in 2015. You have 6 games left. You have to win at least 5 to get to even, to get into the ACC tournament, and then to get a real shot at the NCAA. So it was literally carbon copied, except it was different opponents, but it was carbon copied 2015. And at that point, when we beat Duke and then swept Wake Forest, we knew what we had to do at Boston College. We knew, hey, we're going to give it all. We got to at least take 2. We wanted to sweep to get a higher seed, but, we got at least 2. So
Columbia, South Carolina.
Something I was thinking about from that season. Something I was thinking about this past weekend from that season, with this team now too, the way they were able to hold on and come back and get that last win at Miami on Sunday. In 2021, you guys did the same thing those first couple of weekends in Chapel Hill and then at Florida State. How much value is there in just getting out of there with on a positive note and getting that win, not getting swept, and just bouncing out of there on a positive note?
Oak puts it perfectly. Every game counts. And you do not know which one is the one that's going to be either the way you get in or the way you get kicked out. And that remains true. I couldn't tell you how many times that senior year we'd have a close Friday night game, a close Saturday game, and then Mike would come on the mound Sunday and we would sneak a 2-1, 3-2, 4-2, some kind of close game. Great overall for the stats. We didn't give up a lot of runs, but we just didn't have the result behind it. And eventually when we started to kind of calm down and have freedom, like I was saying, we scored 15, 17, 18. It made the pitchers' lives a lot easier. There's no pressure behind it, and things started clicking. So
you're out in Arizona now. How's big league spring training treating you?
It's fun. It's laid back. It's, a lot of the same stuff you do at UVA, just a little bit shorter, not as many long days. You still do PFPs, you still do bunts, you still do all that fun stuff. But yeah, just a great group of guys. We had a great character in the locker room last year with all the young guys brought up, including myself. So, excuse me. Just taking it day by day, honestly. I mean, it's a blessing, it kind of puts it in perspective, one of like 23,000 that's ever played in the MLB. So, I'm one of, I'm sure a lot of probably 30 or so that Oaks coached that have been in the MLB at least at some point. So, just trying to continue the line pretty much, just produce when I can, do my job, and hopefully play for a long time.
When you made your debut last year, I'm sure a lot of our listeners know, maybe not all of them. Can you tell the story of your agent handing you the phone on the field and who was on the other end of that FaceTime call when you made your debut in Cincinnati last year?
Yeah, so my agent is Tom Hagen. He played at UVA I think at the very, very beginning of Oak. I think he might have only had 1 year of Coach Oak as the coach, or maybe 2. But he was right there at the beginning, and there's always these stories, and, I knew him for a while. And then when we got to the point where you could actually have an agent, not an advisor, but an agent, that's when I was like, yeah, I'll have him. He's a familiar face. He went to UVA, knows the struggle, played pro ball. So that's the backstory on that. But yeah, I called Oak. I can't remember what was going on. It might've been like a recruiting thing or something, or maybe a tournament that was going on. And he was like the 4th person I'd call. And I was like, hey, just want to let you know, like, I got the call, like, I'm going to the show, would love for you to be there. Somebody, from UVA to be there, but, wanted to tell you just so you'd know. And I think he said, like, yeah, I will try to see if I can get it figured out, but we're like in some tournament or scouting or something. And it didn't really work out to come, actually. So Tom just FaceTimed him. And as you said, I was just on the field, just embracing friends, family, other teammates and whatnot. And he just says, hey, I got somebody on the phone for you. And it's, just Coach O'Connor, just smiling ear to ear, and I'm sitting there smiling ear to ear too, because it's a great person to see. Did a lot for me, so just tell me congratulations. Keep going, keep your head afloat. Just continue to be you and keep going to work each day. And it was special. It was a special moment for sure. I remember that day like it happened yesterday.
By the way, they were in the middle of the NCAA tournament when that was happening.
That's
the little tournament.
There was something going on. I didn't know what it was.
No big deal.
No big deal. Yeah,
that's right. I think I wrote that release somewhere in the Marriott there in Omaha. That's right. When you made your debut.
Right.
And now that's pretty.
You were Omaha, right? Yeah.
I'm pretty sure. Yeah.
It was June 5th, so that's about the time.
Yeah.
All was going on. I think.
Yeah.
How prepared did you feel for that moment? And how much do you think UVA helped in preparing you for that moment?
So the last year with Drew Dickinson, pitching coach, sitting down and kind of individualizing your pitching plans, kind of just who you are, kind of building off of that guideline, figuring out what works for you, what doesn't work for you, being able to kind of hammer those details really got the ball rolling, at least, because then you get in the pro ball, everything's individual. You're doing something different than the next guy and the next guy and the next guy. So just being able to know who I am going in, to be able to have those conversations with the coordinators and the pitching development staff here, being like, this works for me, this doesn't, I'd like to try this. I'm open to listening, open to trying, but this has been proven to work in the past. So just being able to know who I am and take that next step forward. And then, obviously the results start to pile on, and then you get a lot of momentum and you kind of just ride it. And then, you get the call, and it's just like whatever, it's kid in the candy store kind of dream moment coming true.
So have you run into, how often do you run into, whether it's in the minors or spring training or in the big leagues, how often do you run into guys you played with here at UVA or through UVA? And have you faced anybody?
No,
I didn't think so.
Anybody. I've seen, Brian Edgington is in camp in the minor league side for the Reds, and then Ethan O'Donnell is also on the minor league side. So I actually see them quite often in and out of the facility. We're there at the same time. I faced Geloff last year during spring training. I didn't get to face him. I guess he had an off day or something the last time we played Oakland when I pitched. And then we saw Jake McCarthy, Andy Weber, and Pavin a couple of days ago when we played Arizona. So there's a lot of UVA alumni just kind of peppered and scattered throughout. So, it'd be hard to say I haven't seen anybody, but no, I actually haven't faced anybody yet. I'm trying to think of who I might pitch against, but I don't think any of them are on those teams. So, but yeah, I mean, other than those two, and I know we have the Top Golf thing tonight, which is the UVA thing, Justin or I don't know who did it, some kind of shindig going on or whatnot, and I'm taking O'Donnell and them over there to just have a good time and catch up with Nate Irving and Chris Taylor and whoever else is out here. So
yeah, I think he said there was like 20 plus guys going out to that. There's an event at Top Golf,
like 30 or something.
Yeah.
There's a pretty good amount of UVA guys that are here.
And just think that's just on the West Coast too, guys not in Florida. So that's really cool.
Do you stay in touch with old teammates and kind of talk about what's going on back here in Charlottesville and keep an eye on how the team's doing? I know you were talking about watching this past weekend.
Yeah, it's kind of hard. We're just all doing a job, but a text message here or there, Instagram post when you see somebody, Mike K13 or Griff, throwing 100 or something, like, just giving little shout outs here or there. It kind of just adds up. It's kind of just a rekindle moment for a little while. I mean, I haven't really had any like phone calls or anything like that, but played video games with a couple of them, like just little simple things like that.
Andrew, obviously you were the man behind the footwear that the team is wearing this year, and I think they have stuck to their word, right? They all wore them on opening day, which was on February 16th, which was your number. I think that was kind of the symbolic thing they wanted to do with that. Have you? What's that been like for you? Have you caught highlights or seen games and see them wearing those shoes? I know that was a special thing for you to be able to donate those.
Yeah, I mean, it was definitely special. I wanted to do it last year. It just kind of didn't pan out, but I was fortunate enough to have a better understanding of how to do it, how to understand, go through the loopholes, the right channels to get everything cleared and make sure it's all right to even do at the first part. But yeah, I've had a lot of guys reach out, former players or, current players, thanking me for doing that. And, just really it's my way of kind of giving back to UVA and just saying, thanks for 4 years, thanks for everything you've did to me, what you taught me, what you're continuing to teach me, or like maybe down the road, what I can help teach you guys, or, something along those lines, and just keeps that communication line open with Oak and Drew and, Mac and all those guys. And I think Kirby was actually the one that recommended they wear them on opening day because it was the 16th. If I remember correctly, I think it was Kirby, but they did a lot for me. So it was just a little something that I could sprinkle over the top of what they already get that, looks good for recruiting. Obviously, it looks good for the university with the alumni backing, with the donors, with everything like that. So.
All right, now we're going to get into the important stuff, your swimming career.
Yeah, here we go.
No, I just wanted to ask you, what did you swim?
I was a sprinter mostly. I went to the state in the 50 free my senior year. Yeah, senior year, 50 free. I swam competitively pretty much my entire life up until senior year of high school. I still did it a little bit at UVA. We get in the pool at the AFC a little while, but nothing to compare to what I used to do, at least.
Freestyle?
Yeah.
Anything else?
I could do everything. My real talent was the short burst freestyle, though. That's 50 to 100. When I got to be a senior, anything past 100 was pretty tough.
All right. Well, before we let you go, we've decided to start a tradition. We did it with Ryan Zimmerman. So you're going to carry on the tradition when we have a special guest here on the podcast. You have to answer a trivia question before you go. Okay. This one probably won't be as difficult as what we dropped on Zim, but you were drafted by the Reds. You mentioned Ethan O'Donnell earlier. By my count, there are 5 players, including you and Ethan, who've been drafted out of UVA, who've been drafted by the Reds. Can you name anybody else?
Nick Howard.
There you go. That's an easy one. Yeah.
I saw Nicky a while ago. Oh boy. 5 total. I've got 3. Me, O'Donnell, and Nick.
Yeah, and one of them is maybe a trick question because he was drafted but didn't sign with the Reds.
Ooh.
Yeah, that he got drafted again the following year by the Orioles. I don't know if that helps.
Klein?
No. Tyler Wilson.
Oh, T. Will. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. That makes sense.
Yeah.
I would not have guessed T. Will. I only knew him as an Oriole.
Yeah. No, he went back for a season, and then the other one was Arica was drafted that same year. I would have been really impressed if you got either.
That Tyler Wilson. I mean, that's a little unfair, David.
I'd have been really impressed if you got that one. That's why I only asked if you knew one of them, and you threw Nick Howard out there right away.
I'll send me a text message and be like, "I can't believe you didn't know I was drafted."
Yeah, man. Well, thank you. Thanks so much for I know you got a busy schedule out there, a lot of golf going on.
Just I'm trying to golf.
Do you golf left-handed?
We're trying to golf. We're not golfing. We're trying.
Do you golf left-handed?
I do. I do literally everything in my life lefty.
Okay.
You've had a couple ABs. You've had a couple ABs, right?
True.
2 ABs
at UVA? Freshman year.
One? Okay,
One.
Freshman year, yeah. And it should have been a double.
I lined out to right, and I did not get a – so that's all you need to know.
All right, bonus trivia question. Who is that against?
It was against Thomas Welsh, the closer from Boston College.
Wow, there you go.
Oh, wow.
I was going to say, I thought you were going to add another Kyle Crockett question to that.
No.
Because he had an at-bat. Kyle Crockett had an at-bat his junior year. I think it was against, I want to say Florida State, and he walked.
The game
Yeah.
The game that happened, it was like the 14th inning, and I was like one of the only pitchers left in the game. And they killed the DH because they literally used everyone else, and I had to bat. And I remember going up there as a freshman, I looked like Chicken Little with the helmet and like the bat in my hand, standing in the corner, and Oak's going, "Hey, don't swing." And I look at Oak. I was like, "Dude, I hit in high school. Like, come on, give me a chance at least." He gave me a chance. I got the 2 strikes, and I was like, "Well, you didn't do me any favors, but it's all right."
Is Matt giving you signals and stuff, or you?
I think there was a runner on base actually, so I think he was still doing the signs, but obviously I have no idea what's going on. Standing there like, all right, I got it.
All right, that seems like a pretty good place to wrap this up. Andrew, thanks again for joining us on 1186, the podcast, the official podcast of the UVA baseball program. Like we said, a big weekend at the Dish. William and Mary here Tuesday afternoon, and then the 3 big ones, as we've discussed, against Wake Forest, Friday at 4, Saturday at 4, Sunday at 1. For Scott, Andrew, and Andrew, I'm Damon. Thanks again for joining us. We'll see you next time on 1186, the podcast.